Hello! Hime here with a kind of unusual video for me, but hopefully not the last that is like this. But I basically am here to talk about my very recent, just wrapped up playthrough of the Magus. Which, if you don't know what the Magus is, as it says there, it is a solo RPG about pathos, arcana, calamity, and the infinite loneliness of power. As described on their itch page, it says, in the Magus, you play as a power-hungry wizard who will stop at nothing to attain their arcane ambition. Through the course of this game, you will navigate strange encounters and confront complex opportunities for learning spells or cultivating tenuous bonds. But sacrifices must be made. Are you willing to hold on to your humanity or ready to destroy all that you love? And so I just wrapped up actually a duet campaign with my friend Kai. I say campaign, but this game is meant to wrap itself up within 7 entries. And so in the 2 towers or duet rules, we are writing letters back and forth to each other as our characters, with, a culminating ending, of course. So what I'm going to do is flip through our entries. So this is my, TTRPG journal, which I worked on in a previous stream, so you may or may not have seen it. But I'm going to flip and read through this, which is what I wrote my entries for. So what I'm presenting to you all is just my side of the story, my character's side of the story. So unless they decide to share it, Kai's story is just going to be completely through my lens. But I hope this is enjoyable and maybe gives people a little taste of what is possible with the Magus. I was very impressed by this game. It is very much along the vein of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire with the prompt-based storytelling. You do use dice, so there's a little bit more interactivity there compared to other more journaling heavy games, but the journal is very much the focus here. It was really fun getting to do it in like an epistolary form. So all right, so the Magus. So my Magus's name was Aurelie. I am the 3rd daughter of a noble family. They were hoping for a boy and an heir at last, but got me. If that weren't enough, my mother passed shortly after my birth. My 2 older sisters were married off as soon as my father could manage, and I fear my own marriage is soon to arrive despite my unwillingness. So we got to set the stage and set the rules of magic as far as our setting. And so it said what we decided upon was that demons grant access to magic, but often by claiming the caster's soul. Fae and other enchanted creatures freely use magic, but magic corrupts anyone who uses it, which is important for later. Talent. My father informed me of my betrothed in a rather unceremonious manner, a marquess 20 years my senior. I ran to the moors behind our estate in my despair and met him, a beautiful man who wiped away my tears and showed me how to cast magic to get away and to protect myself from would-be pursuers. I have a talent for it, he told me. I left that very night, never to return. If father fancies the Marquess so, he may marry him himself. Oh gosh, my French. My raison d'etre. Though I have escaped my family and its restrictions, I lack the freedom and control over my fate. The only way I can avoid ever being hurt again is to become the most powerful. To hone this talent until none can sit above me. Can't read my own handwriting, very silly. I followed the beautiful man to Calais and start a new life under his tutelage. He will surely unlock my potential, but he disappears shortly after our arrival, and I am left alone to seek shelter at a crumbling hut that I purchase after trading some of my jewelry. While on my way to Calais, I stopped at the floating gardens to rest. I meet a woman named Rose, who has suffered a great loss and is now alone. I quickly see that she, too, possesses the gift of magic. The only other Magus I know, aside from the beautiful man. I am not long for this place, but we agree to exchange letters. It is good to know that I am not so utterly alone in this journey of mine. So, first letter My power was 1, my focus 0, which we'll add 1 later, and currently perfect control. Dear Rose, it took more time than I expected to get settled here, but as soon as I could, I got to my spell work. I scribed the name of a spell to use. Oath. When cast upon someone, the next sentence they speak becomes a promise that they must keep or risk torment of increasing severity. So here you roll successes. You need 2 in order to get the best possible result for your spells. So I did roll 2 successes this time. After understanding the effects of my spell, the trouble was finding some poor soul to test it on. As much as I would have enjoyed making the beautiful man submit to me, he is still nowhere to be seen. I settled on the baker nearest my cottage and compelled him to always provide me with free bread. I thought he might resist somewhat, but he took to the spell immediately, saying that no beauty should ever go hungry. I wonder if that is the spells working on his mind, forcing him to come up with a reason for why he must obey. I must admit I feel a real thrill at the spells working. Magic has so many practical uses, and now I never shall worry about starvation again. Yours, Orally. Letter 2. Power 1, Focus 1, which I gained from succeeding on my spell. Perfect control. Dear Rose, you shall never believe this. The beautiful man who brought me to Calais and taught me magic is a demon. He appeared one evening, pleased at my progress, and named his price for my power. Fame. He grows in power the more people know of him, and they will if my power and influence spread. I'm already gaining notoriety because of my tricks. It seems compelling oaths on people attracts some attention. I have no choice but to comply. I cannot go back to my powerless old life. I try to develop a new spell to astound others and make his presence known to all. The spell is called Heartbreak. When cast upon at least 2 people, it severs their bonds with one another. Only one retains their memories, their burden now to bear. So this time I only had 1 success. I safely spread the word that he, Asmodeus, is here to alleviate their sorrows. 'Tis quite clever. I use Heartbreak to cause problems, and then Asmodeus breaks the spell on them, freeing them from their mysterious curse. I find myself now the bearer of unwanted truths. Yours, Orally. And then here is a reflection. You're supposed to reflect after every 2 entries, or in our case, letters. I am deeply grateful for the bond I share with Rose. I am not sure how I could handle these revelations otherwise, but I envy her seemingly better days, and I often fear that I am lagging behind in my spell work. She has become dear to me, but if she were to attain more power, I have given up so much, and now must make Asmodeus known to all. 'Twould be unfair if I did not gain more out of the bargain. Though Asmodeus is not always near, I seem to constantly feel his presence. Mayhaps it is because he has granted me this power I wield. I am somewhat conflicted, but the alternative simply could not be borne. I do wonder sometimes if my sisters are faring well. I do not suppose that they would approve of my consorting with demons. Calais is such a large place that there hardly seems a place for me. I know I must carve one for myself and build the life I wish to live, but I must do so only with spells that control others. This is not quite what I had envisioned for my life when I was a bright-eyed young girl, still innocent and trusting. I fear such days shan't return. Entry 3. Power 1, Focus 1, Perfect Control. Dear Rose, I encountered that baker again today. He has a small garden and chicken coop near the bakery. No wonder his pastries are the freshest in all of Calais. However, one of the chickens escaped and startled a traveling prince. The prince almost had the baker flogged, but I intervened and had the prince say an oath not to harm the baker. Well, I tricked him into saying the oath, as he was merely repeating my words with incredulity, but the result was the same. The baker, Henri he is called, seems too easygoing. Can such a calm person truly be living in these chaotic times? Perhaps he is merely resigned to the hand that the fates have dealt him. I could only be so resigned. It If I could only be so resigned, it might do me some good. Unfortunately, you know of my ambitions. I was surprised at the sleepwalking man you sent to me, though I do understand why you did. I did my best to help, though an oath may only add to his suffering. He described you as boring, but in denial. He didn't seem to know you well, though, so perhaps that is merely hearsay from town. Do be careful of who you consort with, Rose. Not all are as altruistic as you. What about the yours, orally? Oh no, never mind. 2 pages. I must admit that your description of your spells leave me both alarmed and intrigued. The dream spell is so like my own work that I almost feel as if I'd conjured it myself. Your other tales are far more chilling. I worry for you, all alone in that garden. Do not seek so in delusion and despair, lest they... cannot read my own handwriting. Lest they... consume you. I cannot fathom such a feeling myself, of course, but you must endeavor to move forward. Asmodeus is gaining in strength. I admit that I do not reveal his true nature, but his presence and his words ease people's suffering. Does it really matter if their happiness is built on a lie, so long as this castle of joy never crumbles? But perhaps that is only my own wishful thinking. I hope that you might suffer less and find success with your magical endeavors. This study is a lonely one, but we must endure for the sake of our own happiness. Yours ever, Aurelie. Then here is another reflection. I have to say that Rose confuses me. The spells she works on, why? I am thankful for our connection, but grow increasingly wary. Wherefore does she seek to enter others' dreams? Could she mean to spy upon my work? Surely not. We're too far apart to truly threaten one another. I pray this is only some hysteria on my part, and quite unfounded at that. The people of Calais have been so gracious. Some are compelled so, but others are kind for no reason. It would be a shame to amass power, yet have none with whom to share my experiences with. But can anyone here understand my struggles? If I do not satisfy Asmodeus's requirements, the demon will claim my soul. Before I left my father's estate, I might have given up on my life with relative ease, but now I have too much that I do not dare to lose. I have repaired the cottage to an extremely agreeable degree. It is no Archmagus's mansion, but it is at least somewhat befitting of the most powerful Magus in all of Calais. Ooh, this is letter number 4, I believe. No, this is 5. Okay. Power 1, focus 2, perfect control. Dear Rose, I fear I am getting a little too close to the townspeople. Henri came by to deliver my bread, and then tried to engage me in conversation, but I shooed him away so that I might do more research. Of course, Asmodeus chose this time to interrupt me and force me to do his bidding. I do manage to master this spell in spite of his intrusion. Portal of Silence. Those I cast the spell on may never reveal anything that would be detrimental to the caster, me, whether by word or deed, until I release them. I had 3 successes, a rousing success. As I involve myself more in Calais, I need to keep my true identity and goals a secret. I even managed to cast it on Asmodeus himself. I feel my power growing. I am no longer merely a magus. My utter control over the minds and actions of others have given me a more supreme power. I am more of an expert, one whom others could learn from. My father cannot hope to even look my way ever again. Orally. So at this point, I had amassed 3 focus from this success, and you can trade in 3 focus for another power. So this was orally gaining another power. And then here is another reflection. I lie awake pondering the nature of the relationships I've built since coming to Calais. It feels hollow, which makes complete sense when one considers how these bonds were formed. I may be able to bend their thoughts and actions to my will, but even power as strong as mine cannot truly change the heart. When I consider the revulsion that would be applied to me once they realize the true nature of their regard, I feel a chill. I cannot be entirely truthful with or myself with these people. They're not Rose. I fear even Asmodeus knows my true self better than these folks, with whom I spend most of my time. Despite living in such a bustling place, I feel truly alone, understood by only one other Magus living so very far away. 'Tis a bleak existence, to be sure. I wish to develop the magic to change and truly influence the human heart. All I need is more power and more time. I know the spell will come to me. It simply must. Entry number 6. So at this point I have power 2, focus 0. Up until now I had perfect control, which goes down when you fail at making spells. But my wonderful friend and rival, Rose, chose this time to sacrifice our bond in pursuit of more magic, and I felt the effects from far away, and it caused my control to decrease from perfect to cracked. When your control goes down, after rolling for your spell success, you have to roll a separate die to see if you cause calamity. Well, let's see what happened. Dear Rose, what has happened? I felt a change, a disturbance. All of a sudden, my control is slipping. I refuse to accept this when my goals are finally within reach. I sincerely hope that you have nothing to do with this. I cannot let anything or anyone stand in my way. Rose, I have spent over a week creating this spell without a wink of sleep. It must be done. The virtuous coronation of reality. I can bend reality to my will, creating an illusion that roots itself deeply into the minds and hearts of others. The truth is whatever I will it to be. 1 success. I fainted from utter exhaustion. Once the spell was finished, I beheld the strangest of visions, of demons, of magi, of centuries past. They whispered they whispered truths of our world, but their words were so fantastical that they could hardly be believed. But I saw, too, my future and what will come of France once my work and ambitions are complete. The demons beseeched me to continue. My distinction brings honor not only to Asmodeus, but to all demons, the originators of our power. This had once great and terrible power. I am unsure of whether it occurred in the dream or in reality, but I completed my spell. I feel as though the coronation is all mine. All glory and power shall soon fall to me. In my visions I saw you once more, hunched in failure and crying a river of tears. I believe you truly did try to wrest my power from me, but you have failed. I shall have all that I desire so very soon. I must return to my dreams to see Rose virtuous once more. Visions, those visions once more. Even if I become addicted to dreaming in the process. Rose, the visions are calling to me once more. They demand power, sacrifice, release. Asmodeus says that I am in the halls of greatness. His will shall be done. Father, sisters, do you see? So, in case you couldn't guess, I rolled my die and rolled a 1, and so calamity happened, hence the wild handwriting at this point, as Aurelie is, she's not doing well. So, we caused a calamity, which is the end of the world, so we decided to settle it the Duet way, so we stopped at entry 6. Neither of us made it to 7 because the world was ending, so we decided to settle this by hurling spells at each other across France. Our calamity. So at this point it is now in 3rd person. Aurelie casts Heartbreak, severing the bond between Rose and her simulacrum, which now feels emotion suddenly. Heartbreak has the opposite of its intended effect, with Aurelie's magic going haywire. So instead of severing the bond between Rose and her one bond, the simulacrum she created of her dead lover, it intensified the feelings instead, and the simulacrum, which heretofore did not feel any emotions, now does. Rose, in turn, casts dreaming, plunging Aurelie back into her nightmarish and euphoric dream world. Within the dream, Aurelie uses oath on Rose, who mutters that she'll become the monster that others see her to be. It now binds her. Rose casts Cherub, a guiding angel, summoned to Aurelie's side, but its presence repulses and drives away Asmodeus, Aurelie's last lifeline to sanity. Aurelie casts Portal of Silence, which renders Rose completely mute. She is now unable to communicate with her simulacrum. Seeking more power, Aurelie offers up the soul of the baker, just in time for Rose's glorious hurricane, which decimates the city of Calais and its surrounding area. At this point, Aurelie is at 3 maximum power in exchange for Henri's soul. Witnessing the devastation, Aurelie casts her final spell at full power, Virtuous Coronation of Reality. But there is too much disparity between the reality that is and the reality that she wishes for. The world itself begins to unravel. The demons descend to revel in the chaos and destruction. So Rose casts Foggy Reflection, trapping her and her simulacrum in a fake but peaceful world within the floating gardens in which they reside. They are safe there as the world is collapsing around them, but their ultimate fate is sealed as they can never leave again. The end.